Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Career Success Guide CSG. My name is Chaya, I'm a career coach. Today we are going to do part 4 of Meet and Connect with the Pros. Our special guest is Ram Sundar. He is an entrepreneur, engineer and a published author. His recent book is called Acing Your Job Search. He has helped several people get through job interviews, and he has also trained a lot of HR professionals and hiring managers on hiring the right talent. So let's ask him a few questions and get to know him a little bit more. So over to the meeting. Can you tell us a story behind acing your job search?
When I graduated in 2006 in the US, I had good knowledge of my field of study, which was engineering, but absolutely no idea how to interview. I didn't receive, or rather, I received almost no guidance from anyone. And of course, as a result of that, my performance was miserable. There were times when I was applying to about 30 or 40 jobs a day for days on end, and I wouldn't even receive an acknowledgement. And when I moved back to India for a short time before I moved out again, I promised to myself that I would identify what I'd done wrong, introspect, make a list, work on these things, and never to repeat those mistakes. So I wanted to go from an undesirable candidate to a desirable one, simply by looking at a list of things that I had accomplished. The interview would come later, right, where I could actually demonstrate what I had done. But since 2011, I have been consistently setting 2 or 3 personal professional goals each year, and I've been meeting them. So this resulted in me being able to help other people tweak their resumes, create business letters, prepare them for interviews, use my knowledge of body language to make them more desirable candidates during interviews. I also conducted seminars for recruiters and hiring managers when I lived in the Netherlands. And this was to help them decode nonverbals during interviews. So at that point of time, I had a few people suggest to me that I write a book, so I could help more people than I could in person. And this, I thought about it when I moved to Canada in March of 2019. I gave it a thought. I started the process of it. And this year I was able to publish the book. So it's a compilation of strategies that work, minus all the frills, minus all the nonsense, after countless hours of talking to managers, recruiters, and my own experience in helping other people get jobs.
That's very interesting. You lived in many places, I think 5 places altogether,
Yes.
and you speak many languages. It's been an amazing kind of journey, get that type of a cultural exposure. Great. So I know that this book just got released like 2021. So what was the initial response from your readers?
The book itself went through 5 rounds of edits before bringing it out, and that was when the professional editor associated with the publishing company, the last round, they said, okay, there's nothing more to edit. It looks okay as it is, because I wanted to present the best version of the book that could possibly be done. And Kirkus Reviews is the authority for reviewing books, and they're known for being critical. So I feel grateful that they gave this book a positive review, because my goal ultimately is to bring value to the job seeker. And I've asked some readers, I've asked friends around and other hiring managers to go through the book. A couple of them actually contributed to 1 chapter each in the book. And I asked them to read through the manuscript as well. And the general consensus is that it's actionable, and it's got a positive, encouraging tone of voice. And it's also easy to follow format, because it's more like steps that work, right? There's no theory, there's no needless theory, let's say.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm not in control of who reviews the book on other channels like Amazon and Barnes and Noble or Indigo. Although I would love to hear constructive criticism, so because that helps me improve the book for the future, so it can continue to bring value.
Of course. Yeah, I agree with whatever you said. It's very practical, very informative, and something which, which every job seeker can have that handy. So
Thank
good
you.
job with that. Congratulations. And you just mentioned before that you had several interview attempts, that didn't go well. So, and then once you mastered the interviewing skills, things changed for you. So what was that process like? What's the learning?
Uh, when I started, uh, when I graduated, when I started my job search officially, it was the beginning of the recession.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of 2006, beginning of 2007. And I lived in Detroit, Michigan. So that was particularly, hard hit by the recession. And it was demoralizing at times to be able to have to apply to 30, 40 jobs a day and not even receive a response, and sometimes accidentally I was sending the same application, I was sending my resume to the same job posting like 3 times because I didn't even maintain a list of where I had applied and stuff like that. So it was more, one was a lack of guidance in not knowing how to create a resume and a cover letter. So I had, for someone who had just graduated with maybe a couple of years of experience, I had a two-page resume, 2.5-page resume with a lot of white spaces and all that. But no one told me that that's not the way to go. Um, Another was not knowing how to efficiently use resources at hand, and how to track the companies, and what makes it work.
Yeah.
So I had to really push myself to continue to apply. But that said, even at a lot of career centers, they simply don't have the time or the resources to help every candidate individually on creating resumes. Someone says, "Oh, minimize white spaces or create a one-page resume." It doesn't really tell you much. There's so much more to creating a resume that without guidance you can be overlooked, or you will, even if you're seen as even if you have the right skills, and you may not get the job that you deserve, uh, because of because of a bad resume or cover letter. Interviewing takes thousands of hours to master, but throughout this process, you should be self-aware. You should be able to identify what you did wrong, either in a practice interview or in a prior interview, and you should be able to consciously correct it in the next round.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you say interviewing takes thousands of hours to master, you might have someone who has attended 1,000 one-hour interviews, but they never get anywhere because they don't learn, right? So it's a question of introspection and correcting yourself and making yourself a more desirable candidate. First, I learned that I need to master what to say. So
Mm-hmm.
have some responses, have data-driven responses to interview questions ready. Then mastering how I deliver it using body language, and to put it all together so it goes flawlessly during an actual interview. And yeah, that's how I overcame the initial obstacles and having zero success initially, because uh, uh, obviously because of all these things that we talked about, to not having a failed interview since 2011.
Oh, very good. So it's kind of, I could kind of see myself and my clients with the same kind of story where, initially you go in there, you don't have any idea of what you're doing. And sometimes you keep on doing the same thing for some time, like more,
Yeah.
and still expecting the result to be different, but it's not, it's the same. And, you're in a cycle. It kind of, it's the same thing. And at some point you're like, oh, I need to do things differently. And that is the learning process. So it's kind of, something which is totally relatable. And
Yeah.
for me and for many others, I'm pretty sure about that. And you mentioned almost like five things that job seekers do not get it right, like, something that they are doing wrong. So how well your book addresses these issues?
Yeah, there could be several reasons. I just identified like top five based on several sources. Uh, we can. I'm going to list the top five reasons, and first one is maximizing job search strategies, creating compelling resumes, uh, um, body language issues, interviewing, responding to tough situation, and let's say uh, rounding it off and how to conclude. Things like that. We can take up the first two together. So when it comes to job search strategies, you start obviously with creating a resume and a cover letter. Most people just have a template resume, and I'm talking about myself as well. 12, 13 years ago, one template resume, send out blanket applications to so many different jobs and hope that something hits, but usually it never does, right? uh, that said, every resume has to be tailored to a particular job description. You as a specialist already know this, but perhaps, yeah, we can have a good discussion here on what your viewers might want to see, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Um, so let's say you have a job description. My book first starts with how to decode the job description itself and how to identify keywords in a job description. There's a very clear way or method that hiring managers follow when they create a job description. You have your must-haves, you have your desired skills, you have something about the company, the benefits, and all that. But those are secondary. What you want is a job. Then you need to identify one keyword from every line in the job description. Mm-hmm. And see how many of them match with yours. So what I do in this book is tell the job seeker to list several possible keywords. Like, let's say, have a pool of 50, because LinkedIn allows 50 keywords.
Yes.
So have a pool of 50 keywords, use that to build your LinkedIn profile, use that for a template resume. And when you look at a job posting that you might want to apply to, then pick out the keywords from the job posting itself and match them to the ones that you have on your resume. And use those keywords to build your job specific resume. And it doesn't just end there. You have to relate every single one of those keywords to your experience or your education, so that when I look at a job description and identify a skill, then I want to see where you've used it, how long you've used it, and how long ago you used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what the result was. So very data driven, things like that. Cover letters. Any business letter should have 3 paragraphs. You're introducing yourself. In the second paragraph, you're telling the hiring manager what what you want to convey. So I'm interested in so and so position. This is me. And then the third has to be a call to action. Now, when someone creates a cover letter, so-called cover letter, and they say, oh, I'm interested in applying to this job at this company, so please please find my resume attached to or enclosed, whatever. It doesn't really tell much. I don't think it's compelling enough for me to want to open your resume. The cover letter, so that has to give, like that's a trailer.
What value you bring to the table? That's the
Yeah,
point, right? That is the kind of
yeah,
crux of everything. So if you're not selling yourself really well there, your cover letter is not going to make that impact.
yeah. So that's about creating compelling resumes and cover letters, not just okay. So then moving on to maximizing job strategies, you've already created a list of keywords that are on LinkedIn. Knowing that you use the same template and uploading your resume on different job boards,
Mm-hmm.
simply by logging in to any of these job boards once a week. You don't have to make any changes, but just by logging in once a week and logging out, you're putting yourself at the top of the search list. Because if you're already employed, then you won't be there, because you may not be looking for a job. So you'll be on page 2 or 3 of possible candidates for that fit when a recruiter searches with keywords. Another thing that I address in the book is finding boutique staffing companies, the smaller ones with maybe 1 or 2 recruiters, and they have a very small customer base or client base, and they also have a small pool of candidates. So you get very specialized service from them, and they're very efficient at finding jobs because you're a person to them, not a number.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, for American job seekers, I've listed several different sources where you can find staffing companies. The reason I'm stressing staffing companies is because they do a lot of the work for you. They get paid for it.
Yeah.
So instead of you applying to 30 or 40 jobs, let them do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I
can
give the same
focus on.
advice to my clients, like go for local staffing agencies, get yourself registered, build a good relationship with the recruiters. Like
Yeah.
recruiters are your friends. Once you get selected, they get paid, so they'll be more interested to help you. Like sometimes they go above and beyond to help clients. I've seen that with my eyes. So definitely
Yes.
good advice.
The recruiting manager at Aerotech who helped me, her name is Michelle Clark, and she's the one who helped me out with one chapter in the book. That's because uh, she's she's I wouldn't say simply worked hard or whatever, but she's a top performer.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known her for a couple of years now, for a few years, since 2018. And she's exceptional at what she does. And she's got a lot of recruiters working for her. I mean, working in her team and all that. And Aerotech itself is a big company.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That said, she gave me very good insight into what they can do for a person, for a job seeker, and what you can do as a job seeker to get into the good books of recruiters. Because if they like you, then they're going to uh, you know uh, you're, you'll be associated with a happy memory, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going to keep you at the top of their list. Now, one of the things that I advise some job seekers to do is to download free ATS software and to upload the resume on that software after every tweak or after every change, to see what the results are, so they can see what their profile, one page ATS profile looks like for to the hiring managers.
Mm.
And yeah, so these are some tips that have these are some of the things that I've addressed in the book. There are of course others. And then body language, of course, only 7% of what you say is through your words, 93% is how you say it. And when you have two interviewees who give the exact same responses, why the one who sounds more convincing will get the job, right? And that's because they're either subconsciously or through conscious effort, they've improved their body language to reflect what they're saying. So everything is in line.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, of course, talk about that a little later. I am quite passionate about, nonverbals, decoding nonverbals, and whatnot.
Interesting.
And yeah, and the last two I guess we can take that together as well. Interviewing, responding to tough situations, tying it all together. Some people don't know when to stop selling, and some people don't know how to sell. Right? Both of them work against you in an interview, because it's essentially a situation where you're selling your skills to the hiring manager.
Yeah.
And I've addressed two methods. Both of them are well known in the marketing world. One is Fuji, which is fear of loss, urgency, Jones effect, and indifference. To look at your interviewer and identify which one of these four could influence them or persuade them into creating some interest in you. And the other is the STAR approach, which is situation, task, action, and result. And a lot of times interviewees, job seekers, they tend to they tend to botch things up when they're just being pushy. When you have a situation in an interview when the interviewer asks a question and you respond, and they're like, okay, you don't know what to say. They're just giving you the silent treatment. You want to break the silence because it's unnerving for you as a job seeker. And a lot of times job seekers just tend to break the silence in the worst way possible, right? The best thing to do is, okay, is there anything else you might need? Or that's it. Or just stay silent until they say
We
something.
call them statues, like, those are people that with their interpersonal skills or with their, body language, we can't figure anything out. Like they're giving no feelings on their face, right? So you don't know whether your answers are right or whether they are interested. Do I need to give more details? So yeah, it's hard. Those are the toughest interviewers. But that's kind of a stress interview, I think.
Yeah, that's true. But you probably encounter situations like that with your clients as well, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I guess those are the five top ways. Of course, there are more, but I just had to pick five, and I did.
Yeah. Very good. So you have studied hiring process in detail. I've read that you have trained recruiters and hiring managers on selecting top talent. So what is your advice? I know you've given a lot of advice to job seekers, but any particular advice that you would like to, give general job seekers?
I think maintaining a positive mindset is the single most important thing you can do. Because if you're negative, if you get bogged down, if you get discouraged, then it will show in an interview, and it will show up as desperation. So you want the job, but the interviewing process, the way I see it, is you're telling the hiring manager that you are the right candidate for the job, but you're not telling them, you're making them say it. Right? You're just leading them down that path, and they feel like they made the decision, but you want to walk away from there knowing that you helped them make the decision. So the best way to do that is to maintain a positive mindset. Spend more time networking and less time simply applying to jobs. Because when you network, let's say with recruiters, then you can spend a couple of hours a day, maybe even less, applying to just one or two jobs, but you have a network of so many different recruiters who are all doing the same thing. So when you consider that in terms of man hours, that's multiplied. Tailoring your resume and your cover letter so you meet, I would say, on average, a thumb rule is 80% of the requirements in the job posting. Because even all hiring managers are aware that it's almost impossible to meet someone who matches 100%.
Yeah, even though they search for that purple squirrel, that unicorn candidate that doesn't exist, but I think 80% is kind of, that's something that they could work with, and you could learn that during your probation period. The skills that you do not have or something that you want to level up, you still can learn that during your initial days.
Yeah, that's true. In my book, I address this by saying you divide the skills required into three groups.
Mm-hmm.
The first group is skills that you already know, you're already comfortable with. The second is skills that you are willing to invest time and effort in learning. And
Mm-hmm.
the third, the ones that don't make any difference to you and will not provide any value. So if you meet a major, if in a job posting, a majority of the keywords or skills are in the first group for you, then you're golden, you're fine. With a proper resume and cover letter, you're guaranteed a call because only 2% of people who apply to a job posting will be called for an interview. So you want to make sure you're in that 2%, then it takes a lot of background work to do that. So ultimately, I would say know the market, know the companies, know what skills you need to get the job. So
Yeah.
tailor it to every single one, and of course things will work out.
Yeah, good points. Awesome. So we were talking about body language and micro expressions, and those are topics that are getting discussed, but not into the level that I've seen in your book. Very detailed, very minute points about micro
Oh, thank you.
expressions. So I would like to know more about that. I'm pretty sure our viewers would also want to know more about how they can use their body language and micro expressions to win interviews. It's not only interviews, like winning in their life. So can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. uh, Micro expressions, to your viewers who are not aware of what they are, um, they're called micro expressions because they're expressions that last less than, let's say, one fifth, no, maybe more like 1/10 or 1/15 of a second.
Yeah.
And they're completely involuntary, you cannot control them. And it's a tool, it's the most robust lie detection tool that we have today in the world of behavioral science. Um, Charles Darwin decided to do some research, and he documented all this. He said that cultural tics are, of course, culture specific, but expressions of human emotion are universal.
Yeah.
So you could be from a tribe that has been untouched by the rest of human civilization in 1,000 years, or you could be in, let's say, in New York City, the cultural, whatever, economic, financial capital of the world, and the way you display certain emotions will be the same. And there are only 7 human emotions. It's happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, contempt, surprise, and fear. And uh, when we say that we cannot control them, what you want is to control your own mind and make sure you're in the right mindset when you appear for an interview. If you believe that you are too good for a job, then you will display emotions of, let's say, contempt or even disgust. And contempt is a dangerous emotion because uh, it comes from a place of having a high moral ground. So you believe that you have some kind of superiority
Mm-hmm.
over another person.
Yeah.
And it's characterized by no emotion on the face, no expressions of emotion on the face, except one side of your lip, left or right, going out like this. And that's it. There's no other indicators on the face. And that's instantly recognizable.
Yeah.
Disgust, of course, we all know, but what happens with disgust is, if I were to scientifically break it down, then the skin around your nose bridge goes up like this, and then you try to pull your upper lip up towards your nose, so it goes like, yeah. How it differs from anger is, in anger you stiffen your upper lip and your eyes narrow down towards an inverted triangle like this. Yeah. And fear is fear and surprise can be similar in certain senses. You have your eyes wide open because in humans are animals, and all these emotions are controlled by what's called the limbic brain, which
Yeah.
is in common terminology, reptilian brain. Fight, flight, or freeze. The three responses to any situation that evokes fear, right? But it's not exactly in that order. The first thing that the limbic brain tells someone to do is to freeze. And the second thing it says, if freeze is not an option, flight, run away. And if neither of those is an option, then the third one is fight. So you can relate each one of these results to one of the expressions of emotion. If you want to freeze, then you freeze until you know what to do. Like surprise, genuine surprise only lasts like a second, maybe less.
Yeah.
And it only lasts as long as it takes for the brain to figure out what's going on. When the brain is afraid, when you are afraid, then fear is induced, and fear makes you open your eyes wide and make sure that you're aware or you're hyper aware of everything around. Certain when it comes to interviews, then certain emotions that you should never display, uh, at least in front of the interviewer: disgust, anger, contempt, fear.
Mm-hmm.
So the best way to get rid of them is to just put yourself in a positive mindset, which
Mm-hmm.
again ties back to what we said before.
Yeah,
And
you're
as
really
far
good
as
at this. Like, having those expressions coming, that was really interesting to watch.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, and I think there's a thin line between confidence and that, arrogance, right? It's very thin line, and
Yeah.
you want to showcase that you're confident, but then are you overdoing it? At some time, you're overdoing it. And
Right, right.
also, I've seen that interview itself is a tough process, and it's stressful for a lot of candidates. So when you say that, oh, I'm already kind of panicking within, I'm anxious and I'm worried, and I really need this job. I'm in a position where I'm desperate to find this job, and I'm going to an unknown location. I've never been here before. I'm meeting these strangers, and they're asking me like, what are my weaknesses? I'm like, oh my god, I'm going like panic situation, like so that happens. So these micro
when
expressions are interesting to learn.
they absolutely are. If you're talking about general body language, you can, even with you control micro expressions by controlling your mindset, so you're never in a place that evokes fear and other emotions. And just breathe, take a deep breath, and relax, and you will be calm, so you won't be displaying certain emotions. When it comes to general body language, uh, when you when you know what to say and you're
Yeah.
trying to tie it together with how to say it, then you can always use a mirror, or you can use a friend or a group of friends to have mock interviews. Let's say starting with greeting. What's the difference between a genuine smile and a fake smile? You don't look at the mouth, you look near the eyes, right? You are aware of this as well. And when okay, with the COVID situation, a lot of people are conducting video interviews, which is going to continue for a while, it looks like. But when you meet someone in person and you shake their hand, if your palm faces the side like this
Mhm.
and your hand is straight up, that means that that's a normal professional handshake. But
Yeah.
if your palm faces down, that means you're trying to dominate the other person. And faces up, then you're being submissive.
Hmm.
Uh, the next thing is when you shake hands with someone for the first time, stand there and for the next 1 second, just observe the other person. There's one of three things that they can do once they disengage. Either they will stand there, or they'll step forward towards you, or they'll take a step back. Standing there, each one of these is self-explanatory, right? If they take a step forward towards you, that means they're interested in what you have to say. Just standing there means they're okay, they're neutral, but you can engage them in conversation. If they take a step back, or if their feet are pointing in a different direction than the rest of their body, then they know that you know that they are not interested in having a conversation with you. Another thing that a lot of people do is tilt their head when they talk, especially to someone in a superior corporate position, and that shows submissiveness. Fidgeting, looking away too often, making too much eye contact, not making enough eye contact, all these tell different things, right? Fidgeting, of course, says that you are distracted or you're nervous. uh, a lot of times when someone, there's a misconception that when someone lies they look away from you, but that's not true. They'll, if anything, they'll make more eye contact than normal, and even their blinking stops because they want to see what their lie has done to you,
Yeah.
what kind of response it that has on you, and they want to see whether you're believing the story or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And another thing that you want to avoid during interviews is creating a barrier. So let's say you're crossing your legs, or if you're meeting and you're sitting on a couch with couch cushions, and you put the couch on your lap, then
Mm-hmm.
you're creating an artificial barrier because you feel threatened in some way. Everything is contextual.
Mm-hmm.
So you can never say, okay, this person is lying, unless you get like 10 different ticks, and each one leads to the next one, and you know for sure that there's something wrong. Now, if someone has their arms crossed like this, it could
Yeah.
mean one of many things. It could be that the room is cold and I just want to keep myself warm. But if I have my arms crossed like this and I'm not displaying friendly behavior or friendly expressions, I'm looking angry, then that obviously means that I'm being confrontational. I'm not open to listening to what you have to say because I'm displaying closed behavior.
Yeah,
Right?
and I think it's about the perception. Probably it was cold for you, but the other person perceived it to be something else. They probably thought that you're
Exactly.
defensive, or you're not listening. You do not want, do not want to listen. So that's the idea that the other person gets. If that's your interviewer, your interview is done there.
That
Right?
is true. That is true. It's all about perception, right? Sometimes, like with me, I would want to dig deeper because if I see a negative behavior, I will not dismiss it right away. I
Mm-hmm.
will not say, "Oh, this is what it is," and no one should do that. They should look to go further and see if there really is a problem or if that's just the way they are. So what people do is they create a baseline. When I
Mm-hmm.
say people, I mean people who study body language or people who deal with others on a daily basis, like recruiters or hiring managers.
Mm-hmm.
They have to deal with a lot of people, and they have a good sense. Even if there's no formal training, they usually have a good sense of how to judge
Yeah, after meeting
situations.
1,000 people, you kind of feel like it
Yeah,
comes to
and
you.
and you're the same. So breaking it down to a science is different, but you do have the voice in the back of your head telling
Mm-hmm.
you that this is what's going on. So you create a baseline. You within the first minute, 30 seconds, couple of minutes, whatever it takes, you're trying to create a mental picture of what this person's normal behavior is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start looking for things that required more attention because the behavior changed all of a sudden. Yeah, like comforting behavior, when giving yourself a hug, rubbing your arms, rubbing the back of your neck, different places where there are receptors is just to show that you're saying, okay, this will be fine. I'm going to be okay. And yeah, you don't want to do that because in an interview you want to project yourself as a person who's actually up for the job.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of other things I can think of is one. All these are based on real mistakes, of course, that people do that I've
Mm-hmm.
seen and corrected. One is conveying versus convincing. When an interviewer asks you a question that requires either a data driven response or a yes or no response, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of just saying yes or no, you're trying to convince them. And usually when you convince, then your eyebrows go up and your eyes are wide open. I'm the best person for the job. Instead of saying, yes, I've done this before, it tallies exactly with what the company needs.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're like conveying response. And another one is assertive versus aggressive. You already brought it up a little while ago.
Mhm.
uh, yeah, to how to be assertive is by using positive body language tactics without showing any, without increasing your voice just to make a point.
Mhm. Yeah. Very good points. Awesome. Those were great information. I'm pretty sure a lot of job seekers that are watching that would watch this video, they would find a lot of information that they could use in actual interview setup. So
I
the
would hope so.
so yeah, I'm gonna ask you like what do you think? Like who should buy a copy of your book? Like what was your target audience when you were writing this book?
I put myself in the job seeker's shoes because I was one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I could be, but now I have a company, I have a franchise, and I help out other businesses uh, with peer mentorship and having a personalized board of advisors and improving their efficiencies and all that. But I spent a year or maybe over a year looking for a job and being disappointed, with every job application. Um, so I have been in the normal job, average job seeker's shoes. Uh, so here you're getting a book which was written by someone who's been at the same level instead of someone who's looking at it from a hiring manager standpoint. So anyone in the US and Canada, regardless of gender or age, maybe not senior management, but somewhere below that, who thinks that they would find value in a complete job search manual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. And his pen name is Roy Mapleton. So please make a note of that. So if you want to search more about Roy Mapleton, that's where you would find more information about him. So what is there anything that you want to tell your current readers or your future readers?
I posted a couple of things on social media a little while ago. One was, your dreams don't work unless you do.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is, your efforts today will determine your results tomorrow. So yeah, it's you need to set goals to make yourself a desirable candidate. It's not just about getting that one job, but you want to make sure you're always working on yourself.
Yeah. Your
Yeah.
personal development, your professional development. So always learning and,
Yes, yes.
upskilling yourself. Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, set goals and focus on the process though. Don't
Mhm.
focus on the goal, just focus on improving, and then you will reach the goal.
Yeah, and enjoy the process. The journey is important. It should be
Exactly, yeah.
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay, good one. So, what is the best way to reach out to you?
uh, I am active on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. They all have the same handle at Roy Mapleton.
Mhm.
And also my email, which is roymapleton@gmail.com.
Yeah, I will put all those links on the description so that they can click and just find you and get more information and connect with you. Awesome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for doing this. I know you're a very busy personality and you accepted my invitation and you're here and we had some amazing conversation. I'm so glad that this is happening. Thank you so much. It was my pleasure to have this conversation with you.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure, and thank you so much for the opportunity as well. And I wish you much success with the channel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If you find this video useful, please like, share, and comment on this video. And also do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Take care. Until we meet next time, stay safe. Bye.